Hey story readers, it's Warren and I'm back with a new video today. One of the most common things I get asked on my channel and also on my Instagram is for book recommendations. People ask me all the time, I really want to get into sci-fi, I'm not sure where to start, or I really liked this book series, do you think I'll like another series by the same author? So to answer these questions today, I'm going to be making a video called If You Like This, Then You'll Like This. This is a pretty popular booktube video. I've seen a lot of booktubers do it, so I'm going to throw my 2 cents in there and recommend you guys some great books from the fantasy and sci-fi genres that relate to other books that you might be interested in, or maybe you've read already. And this is like only one recommendation video, so I'll probably do more of these because I like this idea. It's really cool to match books. Like if you like this book, then you'll probably like something similar. The first book is if you like A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, then you'll probably like An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. These two books are very similar. Both of them involve a fae world coexisting with a human realm, and they both feature a female lead who is spirited away to a fairy court. Each book features the 4 seasonal courts of the fairies. You have the spring court, the autumn court, the winter court, and the summer court. The difference is in An Enchantment of Ravens, fairies are portrayed more closely to their lore, whereas in A Court of Thorns and Roses and other Sarah J. Maas works, fairies are depicted very much like elves from Lord of the Rings. They're very beautiful, they're powerful, they're really good with weapons, and in An Enchantment of Ravens, these fairies are more like stuffy, rich, elite people that live the high life, and that they're not very beautiful creatures. They disguise themselves with glamours to make them look really pretty, and they like to cause mischiefs with humans. They like to meddle around in human affairs and trifle with the technicalities of deals and wordings to make spells that just torment people. Not necessarily evil, but a little bit more mischievous in this book than in A Court of Thorns and Roses. Both are great. The Enchantment of Ravens is only like 300 pages. It's a super short book, and as far as I know, I think it's a standalone. I don't think there's going to be any more in the series, so it's a great read if you're interested and you like the fairy folklore. The next pairing is if you liked Illuminae by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, then you will probably like These Broken Stars, also by Amy Kaufman and her co-author Megan Spooner. Both of these stories feature a survival disaster situation in space. They both have a couple pairing of Lilac and Tarver in These Broken Stars and Katie and Ezra in Illuminae, and both of these are part of a trilogy. In These Broken Stars, you have Lilac and Tarver. They're on a very expensive starship called the Icarus. It's like a fancy class cruise through the galaxy, and it has a malfunction similar to the Titanic, and it sinks, or in this case crashes, onto a remote alien world, and Lilac and Tarver have got to figure out how to survive and get back to safety while also discovering secrets of the universe and some of the hidden energy within our galaxy. And it also features some really kick-ass cool space technology like terraforming and spaceships that can go through hyperspace, and the two characters are incredibly likable, especially Lilac, and I think that it's really cool that her name is actually the name of a flower. I think there is some intentional irony in that about a lilac being in space in this vacuum where nothing can grow and live and breathe. I think that's pretty ironic, and I think it was done on purpose, which is another reason why I love this book so much. Next up, if you somehow, by some miracle, enjoyed the Red Queen series, I'm sorry, I had to put this in here. Honestly, I do kind of like Red Queen more than Glass Sword, but you guys know how much I hate Glass Sword. But anyways, if you enjoyed the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard, then you will most likely enjoy TheDarkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. The similarity between these two is that it's in a dystopian world, and both of these books feature a class of people that have supernatural abilities. TheDarkest Minds features a character named Ruby, and she and a bunch of other teenagers have developed these supernatural powers, kind of like the X-Men, in the middle of this disease epidemic that has broken out and killed most of the world's kids, and so the remaining children of the world have mutated into X-Men, basically, having superpowers, and so the military and the governments of the world are trying to round them up and control them because they pose a huge threat to the dystopian society that is formed. Some kids in here have lightning powers, others have mind powers, and some have elemental powers, and this book is also becoming a movie in September of 2018. The adaptation is going to be out in theaters, and fun fact, your boy here actually got to be a featured extra in this film. I'll tell you a little bit more about that when the movie comes out, but it was really awesome. You guys gotta look for me in the scene. And this copy of TheDarkest Minds I actually had signed by Alexandra Bracken when I met her. It says, "For Warren, can't wait to see you in the movie." It's super cool. This book is really good, and so if you liked the Red Queen series, hopefully you will like this book too. If you haven't read anything by her, I would highly recommend this series. Continuing with the sci-fi recommendations, if you liked The Martian by Andy Weir, then you will probably like 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad. I've talked about both of these books on my channel before. I don't have 172 Hours on the Moon because I rented it from my library, so I need to go get a copy of this book because I love it so much. Obviously, The Martian, as I've mentioned in several videos, is about an astronaut named Mark Watney who is stranded on Mars. 172 Hours on the Moon is a space psychological thriller. That's the best way to put it. It is about 4 teenagers from different parts of the world who are selected by NASA to go on a return mission to the moon in the year 2020. And when they arrive on the moon at a top secret classified NASA lunar base, and they find out that they are not alone when they land on the moon. There is a dark force that is haunting the moon base, and they have to fight for their lives. And it is an amazing thriller. I loved it so much. I read it back around Halloween, and it was just something that was so unique and original, and I really liked it. So I highly recommend that book. I think I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. So if you like a good psychological thriller, I would recommend this book, but it also has a lot of cool sci-fi in it, as well as like scientific realism, similar to The Martian. Next, if you liked Geekerella by Ashley Poston, then you will probably like Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. Both of these books feature fan culture and like nerd culture, and they're both romantic contemporaries. They're very lighthearted. This book is about a girl named Eliza, and she is an ultra popular comic book artist, and her comics are so popular that they even have fan fiction written about them. One day, the #1 fan fiction writer of this #1 comic series ends up transferring to Eliza's high school, and the two of them meet, and they don't realize who the other one is. Very similar to Geekerella, there are some elements in this book that have that anonymity. Is that the right word? How do you say that? Anonymity, where the two love interests don't really know that they're the two love interests with each other. And the reason I'm recommending this book is because I actually haven't read it either, and someone told me this exact recommendation when I was telling them about how much I loved Geekerella. They said, oh, you will really like Eliza and Her Monsters. So going off of their advice, I am recommending this book to not only myself, but also all of you. And lastly, if you enjoyed Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, then you will probably like In the Name of the Wind by, and this is the first book in the King Killer series. Both of these books are epic fantasy, and they both feature a badass main character that has some sort of skill or gift, and they have to use it to survive. This book follows a boy named Kivoth, or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce his name the right way. This series is a little bit older, but it is just as good, and so many people love this series. It has its own fan base, and I think if you are a big fan of Selena Sardothian and the assassin aspect of those stories and how she has to win a competition to become the king's assassin, then you will probably like the story about Kivoth and his quest to become the most powerful and notorious wizard in all the realms. So those were my book recommendations. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you guys want me to make another one of these videos like every few months, then leave me a comment. And as always, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Please, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!